Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. This is Orilla Kalinga on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thanks for that update, Sabiso. We're in South Africa now. The World Science Forum 2022 kicks off today in Cape Town under the theme Science for Social Justice. The event, which is among the most significant science gatherings in the world, will run until the 9th of December in Africa for the first time. Now, the gathering was created by the Hungarian Academy of Sciences and UNESCO to deliberate on the social and economic relevance, influence and responsibilities of science. Our correspondent, Arthur Davies Sikopo, is attending the event and joins us now on the line. Good morning, Arthur.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, and of course, good morning to our listeners.
Arthur, it's a pleasure. Tell us a bit more about this event. What is the event about?
Thank you so much. So this event is bringing together in one particular place about 1,000 scientists coming from different parts of the world to come and deliberate on how science is important to mankind, how science is important to society, how science is important to the environment, and just what science can do, to develop our continent. And it is, as you have rightly put it, being held on the African continent for the first time from the time that it was started in 2003, after it being initiated in 1999. So this has been, or this is going to be packed the rest of the week, where all scientists will be deliberating on just how best science can be used to better lives, to better mankind, to better the environment, and to better society. It is very important to note that these gates are coming from different faculties of science. Obviously, we've got scientists that deal with machinery, we've got scientists that deal with issues of climate change, scientists that deal with health. So all those faculties are being brought together to see how best science can continue being of importance to the world.
Mm-hmm. And Arthur, what does the program look like? What are some of the topics that will be discovered? And maybe you can take us through a list of some of the speakers.
Yes, so some of the critical issues to be looked at in this particular forum being held in Cape Town include issues to do with the role of science in global diplomacy, which will be one of the key panels during the forum. So obviously there will be segmented side events, and the main events, of course. One of it, of course, will look at science and human rights. That is one of the topics to be discussed. Then how Africa also can benefit from science, and just how Africa can channel out its science. Africa has great scientists, but usually a little is known about them. Usually a little is known about what African scientists do. So it is also one of the topics that will be discussed, and African scientists will be brought to the fore. And coming to some of the notables that will be at this particular science forum, we of course have the President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, who is going to be opening this particular forum this evening, or this late afternoon. That is at 17:30. That is when the official opening will be done by the President of South Africa, who will give a keynote address during that particular time. Then we also have the patron of the World Science Forum for 2022, who is the President of Hungary, Miss Katalin Novak, who also gives a keynote address during that particular opening session of the World Science Forum that is gathering a lot of scientists from around the world. Of course, we have others and ministers from here in South Africa, and of course other countries are also coming in to just see how best their countries can tap from this particular forum and what they can also give out during this particular forum.
Mm-hmm. And you touched on, this event being held in Africa for the first time here in South Africa. Can you tell us what informed this decision and why did they find it fit to bring it here for the first time now?
Well, so from the time that it all began, it has been held in different parts of the world, but it was informed that Africa also has to hold this particular forum. So, in agreeing, they chose South Africa to host this particular important forum because Africa also contributes greatly to science, and Africa also, it being a very broad science forum. So, Africa is also affected in matters of climate change, and some of those are going to be topical issues during this particular science forum. So, looking at Africa being greatly affected by climate change and all, and Africa doesn't usually contribute much to global emissions and all, but it is greatly affected. So, it is one of those components that informed that this particular forum should be held on the African soil, so that solutions can be tried to be found on the African soil, which is also contributing greatly to science, and of course, which is affected greatly by impact of negative trends that are brought about by certain science acts.
All right, Arthur, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's our Zambian correspondent, Arthur Davies Sikopo. He's here in South Africa attending the World Science Forum. On to this story now. Please note that it contains details which may be offensive to some listeners, especially children. The United Nations says Haiti is on the verge of the abyss as heavily armed gangs expand their control of the country. Haitian human rights groups say armed groups control and terrorize at least 60% of the capital, Port-au-Prince, and its surroundings, and that rape is increasingly being used as a weapon. The UN says in the first 6 months of this year,